Welcome back to another DPS analytic video. This is going to be week 4 for Molten Core. This week we got a buff to the Boomkins as well as a buff to the mages. We also received a nerf to Divine Light for your Holy Pallies. This is now going to be an 8-second cooldown. For the Boomkin buff, we're going to see Moonfire and Sunfire. The periodic damage of those spells will now be buffed by 50%. And then for the mages, we will now have the Frozen Orb directly benefiting from that spell power rune. And briefly, let me talk about the mage change since I've gotten asked this question in Discord a couple times already. What this change will be is anytime you use Fire Blast while using Overheat, it will no longer count towards the 3 crits of combustion and will no longer increase the stacks of your combustion. What this means essentially is you can spam Fire Blast on cooldown and you'll get pretty good numbers compared to the original rotation. I still recommend following that original rotation that I did in my mage guide. And what that is you're basically using your Fire Blast only when you get a heating up proc and then converting that heating up proc with the Fire Blast to guarantee a hot streak every single time. You can just spam this on cooldown, however, and get very similar damage if you don't really want to worry about that sort of thing. And yeah, that's pretty much it to that. Let's look at the DPS. Let's look at all percentiles first. This is the best way to look at it. It looks like the median DPS is very close within each other now. Ellie Shaman and Balanced Druid are still at the bottom. Your sub rogue is way high up there for the median DPS though. It was like way up here last week, so it's impressive to see that. Let's look at the max percentile. It is now a warrior. Wow. And then Feral Druid is slightly behind it. Assassination Rogue, Fire Mage, and then Survival Hunter. Pretty close considering Survival Hunter is not supposed to scale as hard as these other classes. So pretty cool to see that they're still very competitive on the overall damage. Enhance, Ret, Marksman Hunter, Affliction Lock, Combat Rogue, Frost Mage Shadow, Destruction, Melee Hunter, Boomkin, and then Ellie Shaman. Yeah, Ellie Shaman needs some love, but I don't know how they're going to buff this class up and not affect PvP in some drastic way. Let's go ahead and look at the 95 percentile to give you a better, accurate representation. It's no longer the Feral Druid. The Assassination Rogue is now taken the #1 spot for this. Maybe look at 99, see if it's still Feral Druid. Yeah, so just on average, they're going to be very close though. Let's keep looking at 95 though. Hunter's still doing very well with the changes to how the logs are being read now. Mage, Warrior, and Affliction Lock still doing very well, but your Boomkin still needs some love. Maybe they could buff their single target. Same thing with the Ellie Shaman though. If they buff these 2 classes, I don't know how it's going to change PvP. It could be just dramatic and then PvP is ruined like it was in Phase 1, you know? Boomkin was way too overpowered in Phase 1, but now they just nerfed them into the ground and it doesn't seem like they're scaling too well with gear. Let's go ahead and look at some specific fights because that's always nice to look at. And then when I look at specific fights, I can actually look at the DPS number itself. So let's do max damage for each of these fights. 1600 by the Assassination Rogue, and right behind it, the Feral Druid, Fury Warriors, and then you got all of your melee DPS. Range DPS, it's kind of crazy that these guys are up here with the melees. Oh, I know why they're up here, because they don't have responsibilities compared to some of these other classes. Shadow Priest might be asked to dispel, the mages got a decurse, the Boomkins got a decurse, the Warlocks can't cleave as hard, so they're at a disadvantage compared to your better single target classes, which makes sense, yeah. Ellie Shaman's still down bad. Balanced Druid is a little bit closer up to where these guys are now, so that's nice to see. What about on 99 percentile? Yeah, they're actually kind of in the middle right next to Fire Mage. That's cool. I'm glad they're getting some sort of representation. Let's keep going through all of these fights. Let's go to Magmadar now. Yeah, wow. Yeah, the Fury Warriors are just untouchable on some of these fights. Let's go to Gar. Wow. Fury Warrior again. This was heavily just for the most part, this is a ranged heavy fight. Assassination Rogue doing pretty well for this fight. This is pretty much a caster fight. Shaz is mainly a melee fight, so yeah, to be expected. All your melee DPS. The Warrior at the very, very top. Feral Druid right behind, and then the Assassination Rogue. Baron, no longer favored for your casters. Melee DPS are just scaling incredibly well. And it's just going to keep being like that for weeks to come. Sulfuron still looks about the same. Your Warrior is just super underrepresented here. However, they're right in the middle now. They were a little bit down here, probably where this Assassination Rogue is. Yeah, they're catching up. That's kind of crazy. They'll never reach this DPS or even the Feral because they don't have that kind of AoE, but they're very close. What about Major Domo? Still kind of in the middle, but not all the way at the bottom, so yeah. Warriors are just too good. Ragnaros, same sort of thing. And then the Molten Core, yeah, to be expected. Warriors way at the top because of being able to cleave off the ads. But wait, that's right. The ads don't count anymore. So this is just pure single target. That's nuts. I'm trying to think of what else we can look at here. Let's go ahead and look at healing real quick. Wow, surprisingly, the Holy Pally isn't that far as it was before. It was like this. Hold on, I'll give you an example. Yeah, even at max percentile, it's not even that crazy. Let's go to healing to tanks. It was like this. It was maybe not that dramatic, but it was... Yeah, every single one of these is going to look ridiculous. It was basically like this jump, like from this to this, like this much of a gap between the healer to the other healers. So it's a lot closer now. So that's good to see. And then 90 percentile, this is what you'll see more so on average. So that nerf to Divine Light definitely did hurt them a bit. Definitely not as crazy. Let's look at Baron. Oh, wow. That's crazy. I was never expecting to see a mage healer this high up. What about... something that's more AoE healing, kind of like this. Still, I was expecting your Resto Druid to be far up there, but yeah. Let's look at all percentiles here. Yeah, Mage Healer is super underrated. That's about it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. I'll be coming out with another one for every single week for Season of Discovery. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and concerns are, and maybe what you want to see next. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.